for a whole year, and over 3,000 of them came. They brought their wives and children and cattle, everything. It was either win or die for them. So they all came, and the Rasul ﷺ coming from Medina after a lengthy discussions in Shura with the Sahaba, where some of them thought or wanted to stay in the city of Medina and utilize the strategy of the narrow roads and the rules for the women and children, and have the whole city fight to defend Medina. And others said, no, we want to go out and face the enemy outside. Eventually, overwhelmingly, the vote was to go outside, and the Rasul ﷺ went out. And we talked about the concept of shura, and the other of us, that when a group makes a decision based on shura, then that decision becomes owned by everybody, even those that disagree with it, not just those who adopted it. Okay? And you have no right, after the decision is made, to go out and say, well, they didn't listen to me. And even after it was known that it was wrong, you don't say, I didn't say so. Everybody carries the burden of the conclusion, inshallah. So let me show you the lay of the land, and then I'll tell you what has happened. That is Mount Uhud. The mountain that we talked about, that this mountain loves us and we love it. And it's a mountain in Jannah. It will be a mountain in Jannah. Rasul ﷺ says, Mount Uhud is a mountain amongst the mountains of Jannah. So there's a lot of mountains in Jannah. This is one of them. This is where the mountain of Uhud is. On this left side here, that's where the city is not here. The city is here. See, I'm facing Medina right now. Medina is this way. It's actually even a little bit more towards my left. If we were on top of the mountain, we would see the minarets of Al-Haram. The city there. And the whole city of Medina was where the Haram is right now. The Haram right now is bigger than the city, by the way. So Medina is there. The mountain is here. You would say, where did Quraysh come from? They're coming from the southern part. Medina is north, so we're south, this way. If you look at that white minaret, those who are able to see, there's a white minaret of Masjid. Okay, that's where they came from. The army of Quraysh, that's their entrance. Where you're standing on now, all the way to where all these buses are, these used to be palm tree gardens. When I was a student here in the early 80s, it was all gardens. None of this structure was here. Even those homes in the back, none of them were here. This was like a place where palm trees were. And we used to come sometimes to study here because they used to give us free dates. As long as you're in the garden, you get to eat as much as you want. You just don't take any home with you. So all of this, in the street of Uhud was here. I mean, where I'm standing right now, that was the street that goes to the city, where Aisha and Rasul ﷺ raced. Y'all heard about the story that Aisha and the Rasul ﷺ were horse racing. She won the first time, he won the second time. She can't wait. So she lost the second time. So this is the street. It wasn't there. Actually, this was more of a valley where, the water will, it's a drainage area. So when the Rasul ﷺ got here, he looked at the battle and put a strategy. The strategy is, he said there's no way anyone can penetrate from Uhud to come to us, because Uhud is about half a mile that way, 0.2 miles. So they're not going to come here. They're not going to come from this side, from the city. So because they're coming from the south, how are they going to do? Go all around the city to come back? They're not going to do it. And the cavalry cannot really maneuver within palm gardens. Have you ever seen a palm garden? Between every row of palm trees, it's like this. It's like a hole, because it needs to preserve the water. Horses cannot walk on that. So he knew that they will not be able to march through the palm trees. And he knew they cannot come from this side. So the only way they can penetrate is from this area. Right here, this area where I'm facing. So he put what? He put 50 archers on this mountain. And archers, cavalry are an easy target for archers because they're on a horse. There's a big target. There's a huge target. And he told us 50 individuals, you are not to leave your post even if you see the vulture snatch our skin from our body. Don't leave. So they won't be ambushed from the back. The battlefield is about to start. Preliminary things happen. You know, Arabs in those days used to duel before the battle happened. Well, also, Rasul had a sword. And he said to the Sahaba, who would take this sword and fight, and I guarantee him Jannah. Abu Bakr came and said, Ya Rasulullah, I'll take the sword. He said, no, you can't. Omar came and said, Ya Rasulullah, give it to me. He said, you can't either. And many of the Sahabas offered themselves, and the Rasul said, you can't. Then Abu Dujana came forward. He said, Ya Rasulullah, what do I have to do to earn this sword? He said, to fight with it until it cracks. He said, I can do that. He said, then take the sword. I want to ask a question. Who's better religiously, Abu Bakr or Abu Dujana? Abu Bakr, there's no doubt. They're not even in the same league. So how come the Rasul gave the sword to Abu Dujana and did not give it to Abu Bakr or Umar? No, not because he's already made it, no. And he's not because he's young either. They were strong. Umar was stronger than Abu Dujana.
Giving him the opportunity for Jannah?
No, not that either. Abu Dujana asked about the mission. He said, Ya Rasulullah, what do I have to do to earn this sword? Umar and Umar and Abu Bakr and the rest, they reacted towards the reward and did not pay attention to the mission. This is the lesson we learned. Back home sometimes we create programs. Then everybody volunteered, I'll do it. We'll do a youth program. And a 67-year-old said, I'll do this. What are you going to do? Maybe sit. You know the mission before you accept the job. It's a job description. Wherever you go to get a job, you ask them, what is required by me? What's the job description? Abu Bakr and Umar didn't ask no job description. Abu Jahl said, what do I have to do? So the Rasul wanted to teach us a lesson. Not that he favored Abu Dujana, is that this is how we function as a ummah. You have a strategy, you have a plan, you have a job description. You accept it, then you own it. He took the sword and fought until it cracked, as he had promised. Can you imagine how many heads he hit or so until he cracks a steel sword? Amr ibn al-Jamuh, as they were lining up, the Rasul says in the hadith, whoever fights the enemy today, marching forward without a retreat, and dies, I guarantee him Jannah. So Amr ibn al-Jamuh heard this. He said, Ya Rasulullah, can you repeat that again? He heard it. But it's like, I want to make sure. It's life, that issue. Rasul said, whoever fights the enemy today, moving forward without retreat, and died, I will guarantee him Jannah. So if you looked at the dates in his hands, he said, it's a long life to live if I have to wait to eat these dates. And he threw these dates and marched forward. And he died. In fact, they heard him say, I smell the scent of Jannah from the area of Uhud. Prior to this battle, his kids fought for him not to go. But he insisted. There's another Sahabi that had a limp in his leg. And his children said, he's excused, he's handicapped. So he said to the Rasul, Ya Rasulullah, I want to step with my limp in Jannah. When he was died, the Rasul says, Wallahi, I saw him jumping over the river sometimes. He's no longer limping. You don't go in Jannah with the handicap. Alright? Battle started. The flags of the enemy start falling one after the other. One after the other. That's how they used to know who's winning. When the flags start to fall. And that was a strategy by Khalid ibn Walid. Khalid ibn Walid was a genius when it comes to war strategies. Never lost a battle prior or after Islam. So his strategy is, let's mislead these archers. Because he knew how the Rasul would think too. He said, let's mislead them by fleeing the battlefield like we're defeated, and then they'll go down and leave all the goods and booties behind you. So they can go after it. And that way they vacate the secure area and will ambush from the back. And he had about 100 cavalries hiding in the palm trees. So as soon as they started running and fleeing, the Sahaba started chasing after them. They saw all their property behind. They started to collect it. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq said in the hadith, till that day, I never knew that there was one Sahabi that had the dunya in his heart. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described that they had the dunya in their heart. They fought for the dunya even though they were in the middle of the battlefield. So Abu Bakr was shocked that there's a Sahabi that was dunya. How can that happen? So even the best of the best have their weakness at times. Khalid bin Walid, when everybody was running away, these archers, 50 of them, 40 of them said the battle's over, let's go collect the goods. They left their post, they disobeyed the Amir. When you disobey the Amir, nothing good can ever come from it. He went behind, killed the 10. They had the Sahaba and the Rasul in the middle of two sides. They were clashed and crushed. Everything started changing. Sahaba were falling left and right. Hamza was killed. And they had a ditch that they had prepared and to kind of narrow the Sahaba and the Rasul so he falls in there so they can assassinate him, because that was the objective, kill Muhammad. What happened in that process, Rasul did fall in that ditch, but the one that got killed near it was Mus'ab ibn Umayr. And Mus'ab ibn Umayr had the same height and the same physique as the Rasul. And he was armored exactly the way the Rasul was armored. So the word went out that Muhammad has been killed, Muhammad has been killed. Some of the Sahaba got on their knees, threw their weapons away, and Ibn Kathir said some of them ran up the mountain, and some fled all the way back to Medina. Abu Dujana saw what's going on, and he came to the Sahaba that were on their knees. What are you doing? They said the Rasul has been killed. He said, if he is killed, then die for what he died for. Why would you live after him? And then he said a statement, I want you, because you live in the United States, I want you to understand the statement. Please pay attention to the statement. He said, Allahumma inni abra'u ilayka min ha'ula. Oh Allah, I am innocent from these people. Who was he pointing to? Quraysh. I am innocent from them. Then he pointed to the Sahaba and said, and I am innocent of what they are doing. وَأَبْرَأُ إِلَيْكَ مِمَّا صَنَعَ هَؤُلَاءِ. What's the difference between the two? The kuffar, there's no relationship we have with them, so we're innocent of them. But you're never innocent from a Muslim, even if he's not a good person. There's still La ilaha illallah links you with them. You are innocent from their mistakes. You don't accept their mistakes. You don't accept their wrongdoings. You stand against their wrongdoings, but you are never, never innocent from a Muslim. He said, and what they did was huge, was big. They threw their weapons away in the middle of the battlefield. Well, as everybody was marching to kill the Rasul, there was one person that stood to defend the Rasul. That person took 80 different stabs in the body. Does anyone know who that person is?
Hazrat Tallah?
Nusayba. Ummrah, a woman. She was there for nursery. She was there for the injured. She picked up the sword and started fighting. The Rasul in the hadith is sahih. He said, I did not turn left or right that I didn't see her in front of me. SubhanAllah. So sisters, be self-confident. Brothers think that, we're the mojo and all that, It was a woman that protected the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. At the end of the battle, 70 of the Sahaba were killed. I said something very important to my heart in the other bus I'd like to share. When the Rasul came from Medina, he had about 1,000 people with him. Those who got here were 623. Almost 1/3 of the army went back because they felt like the Rasul didn't listen to them during the Shura. And I said something, I said, when you live your life, it's not about who let you down. It's about who's willing to walk with you. A lot of people will let you down. Don't stop. Don't let them create a depression mode. Don't let them lose hope. If you have one person that's willing to walk with you, then he's your companion. Like Abu Bakr was for the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was his companion. Like Ibrahim alayhi salam had Nuh as his companion. Like Musa when he was walking in the desert and Allah Ta'ala was his companion. And he said, Rabbi inni lima anzalta ilayya min khairin faqir. 650,000 walked with Musa out of Egypt. 314 entered Jerusalem. Let me repeat that number. 650,000 walked out of Egypt, saved. They saw the water split. Only 314 were willing to fight entering to Jerusalem. The rest said, go and fight with your Lord, we'll wait here. It's not about who leaves, who's left behind. It's about who's moving forward. We'll always have that. The few are the ones that stand strong. During the Battle of Hunayn, 12,000 was the number of Muslims fighting. 100 stood with the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The rest ran away. Can you imagine that? 12,000, only 100 stood with the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That 100 changed the fate of history and the battle was won. It's the few that make always the difference, inshallah. So, any questions? Nay?
Nay.
All right. We will walk through the gate and say the dua. And then if anyone does insist that he wants to go up the mountain and take pictures, you're okay to do that, inshallah. Yes?
What happened at the end when they lost the battle?
Some people think that the battle had been over. Well, Quraysh left back to Mecca. On the way there, halfway, they said, wait a minute, we didn't accomplish what we came for, which is to kill Muhammad. They decided to come back. The Rasul ﷺ had went back to Medina. Jibreel came to him and said, the battle's not over. We have not put our shields down. So the Rasul ﷺ called the Sahaba that participated in this battle and participated only. They got up with the injuries and their limbs and whatever and marched to Hamra al-Asad. Hamra al-Asad is on the southern part, about 35 kilometers from here. To go after Quraysh. Quraysh heard that Muhammad and his Sahaba are coming after them. They fled to Mecca. Let me tell you something. Winner flees or winner stands strong?
Please.
The winner stands strong. They ran away. So some historians, they say this was not a defeat here. At the end, it was a win because the Rasul didn't stop. They're the ones that ran away. And, he buried Hamza and Mus'ab and Amr and the rest over here. Yes? No, that was in Badr. That's a different battle. If we were going the old route to Mecca, actually I would show you because we were taken on a field trip when we were students by Sheikh Sayyid Muhammad al-Wakil, and he pinpointed every place there. So I still remember where the well was